Amid escalating tensions over Iran's nuclear program and continuous attacks by the Houthis, the United States has reportedly transferred a second THAAD battery to Israel in a significant show of support. This move aims to bolster Israel's air defense capabilities in response to the growing regional threats, and such a battery has already been put to use in recent months while defending Israel from Houthi missile attacks. The Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, or THAAD, is one of the most advanced in the world. It's designed to intercept ballistic missiles during their final phase of flight, using kinetic energy to destroy incoming threats before they can strike. This latest deployment, reportedly carried out in recent days, adds another layer to Israel's already robust missile defense network, which includes the Iron Dome, David Sling, and the Arrow systems. While those systems cover short to long-range threats, THAAD offers a powerful backup shield, particularly against potential launches from further away. The timing of this transfer is significant. Just weeks ago, the head of the UN's nuclear watchdog warned that Iran's nuclear program is advancing, while diplomatic efforts to revive a nuclear agreement remain stalled. Meanwhile, reports continue to emerge about Iran enriching uranium well beyond civilian use thresholds, raising alarm bells across the West. The Pentagon has not officially confirmed the THAAD deployment, but the move is seen by analysts as both a strategic deterrent to Iran and a message of reassurance to Israel. The added firepower also comes as Israel remains on high alert following a wave of attacks by Iranian-backed militias across the region, including rocket launches from Syria and Lebanon, and activity by Tehran's proxy Hamas in Gaza. For Washington, the decision to reinforce Israel's defenses underscores a clear red line. The U.S. remains committed to Israel's military edge, especially as regional instability grows. But the move is not without risks. Iran has long viewed such deployments as provocative and could respond with its own shows of force or by accelerating its weapons development. In the wake of newly imposed U.S. tariffs and escalating regional tensions, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to meet with President Donald Trump at the White House tomorrow. This meeting marks a pivotal moment in U.S.-Israel relations as both leaders confront pressing issues from trade disputes to Middle Eastern security concerns. Netanyahu and Trump's meeting at the White House tomorrow comes in the wake of the U.S.'s recent imposition of a 17% tariff on Israeli goods, part of a broader tariff policy affecting numerous nations. The visit marks Netanyahu as the first foreign leader to engage directly with President Trump regarding these sweeping trade measures. Israeli officials indicate that Netanyahu aims to negotiate an exemption or reduction of these tariffs, which could significantly impact key Israeli export sectors, including machinery and medical equipment. But beyond trade, the leaders are expected to discuss pressing regional issues. The ongoing war in Gaza remains a critical concern, with Israel intensifying military operations against Hamas in efforts to secure the release of 59 additional hostages still held captive since October 7th. The Iranian nuclear threat is also anticipated to be a focal point of the discussions. With escalating tensions and Iran's advancing nuclear program, both leaders are likely to explore strategies to address and mitigate the potential threat to the region. Additionally, Netanyahu and Trump may address Israel's strained relations with Turkey and the recent developments involving the International Criminal Court, which has issued a warrant for Netanyahu over alleged crimes against humanity. As Netanyahu prepares for this critical dialogue with President Trump, the outcomes of their discussions could have far-reaching implications for trade policies and geopolitical stability in the Middle East. Joining us now to discuss all of this is Brigadier General Dr. Amnon Sofrin, former head of the Intelligence Directorate of Israel's Secret Service, or Mossad. Thank you for joining, Amnon.
Hello.
So Netanyahu is heading to Washington to discuss U.S. tariffs and regional security. What do you think is the primary strategic goal of this visit?
I think that we have to focus on two main issues. The first one is what happens with Iran. The U.S. administration is threatening Iran that if it won't go back to the negotiating table and try to get to a new agreement, they're going to use military force, and they deploy many units around the Middle East in order to deter Iran and to prove to Iran that we mean seriously that we are going to use force and to attack you if needed. And of course, it will be with in coordination with Israel and maybe with the mutual effort of those two countries. But nevertheless, the Iranians are under pressure, and this is the main goal and the main issue, because Iran is what we call the head of the octopus or the head of the snake of all these things that are happening in the Middle East for at least the last decade. The second issue is what happens with Gaza. We are now fighting in Gaza, and we're enlarging our capability and activity in Gaza Strip. But nevertheless, the story of the problem of 59 people that are still being held by Hamas in Gaza is unsolved. And they won't give up, and they don't want to begin negotiating unless they get guarantees, international guarantees, that the war will stop and Israel will retreat from Gaza Strip, and they will some kind of remain in power. And this is unacceptable for the side on the side of Israel, and of course on the side of Americans. And this should be discussed between those two leaders, meaning the Israeli Prime Minister and the US President.
Now, you mentioned that the US recently deployed a second THAAD battery to Israel. What message do you think this sends to Iran, to the Houthis, to the other proxies, to the whole broader region?
It means that it sends a signal that we are willing to participate in the protecting Israel from any attack coming out, either from Syria or from Yemen or whoever. And we are willing to do so, and we are going to do, and we're going to be active. In addition, they deploy what we call attacking weapon systems like the carriers, or the second carrier that is, or the carrier group that is approaching Israel right now. And that means that in addition to the fact that we are going to protect Israel, beware, because we have the ability to attack you and to hit you very bad.
Now, with the escalating tensions over Iran's nuclear program, how aligned do you think that Washington and Jerusalem are on how to respond?
I think they are coordinating better than with the former administration, because they see the problem eye to eye. Now, there are two options. The first one is that, of course, that the Iranian will be willing to go to a negotiating table, understanding that they don't have any other option but to be hit very bad by a huge attack, maybe by Americans or together with Americans and Israelis. And the option is, the best option is to go to a negotiating table and try to get to an agreement that will save some of their assets, but will deny the attack of the US and Israel on their facilities. And the second issue is, even though they said that we are going to hit back and so on, we know that the attackability is limited. Now, they are very vulnerable today because of the fact that most of what we call the advanced anti-aircraft weapon systems were destroyed by Israel. And so they know that the ability to operate inside Iran is very easy for us and for the Americans, and they take it into consideration.
Now, we're hearing about Trump and all these tariffs. The fact that there might be economic friction surrounding these new tariffs, could this challenge the close military and diplomatic ties between Israel and the US, do you think?
I don't think this is a big issue between those two countries. I believe that they will get to some mutual agreement that will ease a little bit the tariff that was laid on Israel from 17%, maybe even to a lesser extent. But I don't think that this is creating any tension between Israel and between the US administration, because we have greater problem that we have to face together.
And in your view, what should both countries prioritize right now to maintain the strategic stability, especially as Iran, Gaza, and global pressures continue to evolve?
I think that the first priority should be to deal with Iran and to force Iran to get to negotiation and to get to some agreement that will postpone its capability to produce nuclear weapon system for many, many years ahead, as much as we can. And the second one will be to solve the problem of Gaza and to speak about the day after, who is going to control Gaza Strip, what kind of administration do we want to see there, together with the Americans. And the first priority is to bring back the 59 people that are being held in Gaza. Part of them are dead, part of them are alive, but nevertheless, all of them should be back home.
Amnon Sofrim, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A new propaganda video released by Hamas has reignited pain and fear for two Israeli families. It's the first proof of life for hostages Bar Kupperstein and Maxim Herkin since they were kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival on October 7th. But as the video circulates, their families are pleading for some privacy.
On Saturday, Iran-backed terror group Hamas released a propaganda video showing hostages Bar Kupperstein and Maxim Herkin. It's the first sign of life from either man since they were abducted 18 months ago from the Nova Music Festival near Reim. Both hostages were brutally taken during Hamas's rampage, which saw 3,000 terrorists infiltrate Israeli communities, murdering 1,200 people, many in their homes or while fleeing for their lives. Kupperstein, just 22 years old, was working as a paramedic and security guard at the festival, earning money to help support his family. Herkin, a 35-year-old father and caretaker for his mother and younger brother, had never attended a rave before that tragic day. Following the video's release, the Hostage and Missing Families Forum issued a statement. The families of Kupperstein and Herkin do not authorize the publication of the footage or any part of it, asking that their privacy be respected during this painful time. Meanwhile, Hamas continues to use Israeli civilians as human shields, refusing to move hostages from evacuation zones in Gaza, endangering their lives while blaming Israel for any potential harm. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, currently en route to Washington, was briefed on the video and has been in regular contact with the hostages' families. Israel views these videos as psychological warfare, another cruel tactic by Hamas to inflict pain without offering real progress towards a deal. Out of the 59 hostages still held in Hamas captivity, only 24 are thought to be alive. With each passing day, their lives hang in the balance while Hamas plays games with innocent human lives. The people of Israel will not rest until every last hostage is home, and for the families of Bar and Maxim, hope remains, but time is running out.
Now, a chilling Iranian assassination plot was thwarted earlier this year, targeting an Azerbaijani rabbi. According to the Washington Post, Iran's Quds force recruited a Georgian drug dealer to carry out the killing. The plan was set in motion last fall, with Iran reportedly offering $200,000 to murder Rabbi Shinel Siegel and attack an educational center. The recruited drug dealer, Agil Aslanov, then enlisted a local accomplice and began monitoring the rabbi's movements. But Azerbaijan's state security service uncovered the plan on time, arresting both men in January. They've since been charged with conspiring to commit a terrorist act. Authorities say Aslanov transmitted sensitive details about the rabbi's location to a foreign intelligence agency using encrypted messaging apps. While Siegel wasn't named in official statements, local media confirmed he was the intended target. Siegel said he only learned of the plot after it broke in the news. Still, he insists he feels safe. The incident comes on the heels of another shocking attack, the murder of Rabbi Tzvi Kogan in the United Arab Emirates. Late last year, 3 Uzbek nationals were recently sentenced to death for the crimes through Iranian involvement, though Iranian involvement in this case remains unclear. Israeli intelligence continues to uncover Iranian plots around the world as Tehran's proxies attempt to target Israelis and Jews through abductions, cyber attacks, and espionage. The IDF says they are reinvestigating what caused soldiers to open fire on Palestinian emergency vehicles in Gaza last month after 14 or 15 medics were discovered dead, although the IDF says half of them were Hamas operatives. The military says they're looking into discrepancies to better understand what happened. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian has the details.
An incident that happened in Rafah's Tel Sultan neighborhood is being reinvestigated by top IDF officials after the bodies of up to 15 Palestinian medics were found in a grave. Soldiers say they opened fire on a convoy of ambulances in March after identifying it as a threat. Video obtained and released by the New York Times has sparked outrage in the media as it shows the perspective from a medic that was caught in the middle of the incident, but the IDF says new details are starting to emerge. According to the military, as Golani soldiers were operating in the southern Rafah area and set up an ambush on a road for Hamas, at 4:30 a.m., a Hamas police vehicle drove through the area and soldiers exchanged fire with terrorists, killing one of them and taking 2 others into custody. At this time, the Hamas vehicle remained on the side of the road. Less than 2 hours later, a convoy of ambulances arrived to the area where the Hamas vehicle was left, and soldiers opened fire, believing it was a threat, after an IDF surveillance drone identified the vehicles moving in a suspicious manner towards them. Soldiers say they saw people getting out of the ambulance quickly and began running. Unaware they were unarmed medics, soldiers opened fire. After the gunfire, the military said a deputy battalion commander instructed troops to collect the bodies and put them into one spot and cover them with sand and mark the burial spot. The military says burying bodies is protocol in Gaza to prevent wild dogs and other animals from eating them. Although the investigation is ongoing, the IDF says the initial probe finds the shooting did not take place at close range and the troops did not carry out any executions. The IDF also says that at least 6 of the 15 dead medics were immediately identified by intelligence as Hamas operatives.
ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian is outside the IDF headquarters in Tel Aviv, where top officials, including the new IDF Chief of Staff, Eyal Zamir, will be part of the reinvestigation into the details of this case. Shosh, what else has been revealed?
Well, Sivan, what we are learning at this time is that the IDF says they did notify the United Nations of the burial spot in Gaza where they placed these bodies. A few days later, in coordination with the IDF and the United Nations, they were able to retrieve these bodies. Now, at the conclusion of this reinvestigation, the public is expected to learn more detail about who these 6 Hamas operatives were, according to the IDF. Sivan?
Thank you very much, Shosh. In a significant diplomatic development, the Czech Republic is reportedly on the verge of relocating its embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This move would align the Czech Republic with the United States and a select group of countries that have recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital by establishing their embassies there. The potential decision underscores the strengthening ties between the Czech Republic and Israel and would influence other nations to consider similar actions. However, such a move will surely elicit varied reactions from the international community. As well, this will be the first European country to make this kind of a move. And now, in light of Passover that starts this Saturday night, we're proud to have our own Devo Klein present Blessed by Israel and the range of beautiful products I see here in studio. Devo, can you tell me a little bit about Blessed by Israel?
Absolutely. So Blessed by Israel, it's truly an incredible organization that's really, in practice, giving American citizens access to items and store-bought items that are made right here in Israel, in the Holy Land. They're a unique platform. They're basically connecting Americans with Israeli makers. We have here the beautiful products of Blessed by Israel. And all of these products carry a story. You know, all of these products have been handcrafted by someone living in the heartland in Judea and Samaria. And they all have such incredible stories. And those stories, you can really see them in all of these products. They're really emanating from them. And, you know, Pesach is right around the corner, so it's actually a great time to get gifts. And you don't have to buy a plane ticket and fly all the way here. You can use Blessed by Israel, and you can give one of these absolutely gorgeous gifts that I have right here.
Yeah, just a few days away. So the company is based in the U.S. and ships here from there?
Exactly what you said. And as I stated, it's really a one-of-a-kind program because usually Americans don't have this sort of access to materials and to items and things that you can purchase from right here in Israel. And like I said, they're incredibly unique items. They're not items that you can find on your average, you know, Amazon web store or whatnot. They're incredibly unique. They carry incredible stories. And Blessed by Israel is there to make that connection and give access to Americans to these products.
So I see a few things here on the table. Maybe you want to elaborate on what each product is, or just maybe some of the highlights.
Of course. So in general, you know, we have honey, olive oil, these soaps, you know, handcrafted mugs that have been handcrafted by quite literally the pioneers of Judea and Samaria right here. And in general, these products, they're very Israeli. I myself live in Judea and Samaria, and I could definitely say that these definitely encapsulate, you know, the Israeli spirit. And if you want to kind of show solidarity with Israel and connect to Israel, these products are a great way to do that. So as I said, we have these really marvelous, you know, handcrafted.
Look at those colors.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And this one right here with the olives, I think is just absolutely gorgeous. And they're ceramics, and they've been made by a family who actually has 8 children, which is quite incredible. Batya, the woman she has a ceramic studio, and she sits and she crafts them herself. Her husband, actually, the two of them and their 8 children, they live in Itamar, which is a settlement in Samaria, which is north of Jerusalem. And he managed to plant 200 fruit trees. And Batya actually told us at ILTV that she can hear the birds chirping because the trees attract the birds, and it just inspires her to make these ceramics. Olive oil, I think, is very representative of Israel, and olive trees, olive branches. These are actually coming to us. They're all organic and all natural. And I love this story because in the area where they make this, which is in the Carmel area, they discovered an oil-making, stone, and they found under the water there 2,000-year-old olives. So it's just a little bit of history inside of that. We have these incredible artisan soaps and the honey, which is a really, really big one. The honey is absolutely incredible. It's natural, there's no additives, and it's really incredible. The soap, I did want to talk a little bit about, because as I mentioned, ILTV got to meet these people and their stories and hear the way that they make these products. And the soap is actually coming to us from a family of 8 boys. They have 8 children, and their 4th child was born with Down syndrome. After their son was born, they decided to start making these soaps. And they employ some kids with special needs, people with special needs, in this little business that they have. They're operating out of the honey is operating out of Hebron, which is south of Jerusalem. So it's really a little bit from everywhere. And I think that all of these products really encapsulate, Israeli culture, Israeli essence. And I think that for Americans to have access to these sort of products is just otherworldly. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I highly recommend that for Pesach. People go to Blessed by Israel.
That's beautiful, really special items, and I love how you brought to us some of the personal stories behind all of these products.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there are more, so thank you very much for that, Devo Klein. Scan the QR code to buy these meaningful products and support families from Israel's biblical heartland. In a beautiful tribute to keep the legacy of 4-year-old Ariel Bibas alive, the Academy of the Hebrew Language renamed the Jerusalem fritillary butterfly to Ariel Fritillary. The butterfly is known for its stunning orange wings, symbolizing little Ariel Bibas's bright red hair. The name Ariel is also one of the 70 names for the city of Jerusalem. The Academy delivered a handwritten letter to his father, Yarden Bibas, who survived nearly 500 days of Hamas captivity in Gaza, that the vote to change the name of the butterfly was unanimous. Ariel and his 9-month-old brother Kfir became a universal signal of the horrifying abductions that took place on October 7th. The 2 boys were the youngest children kidnapped by Hamas terrorists and were brutally murdered in captivity. May their memories forever be a blessing. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Cloudy skies are expected tonight around the country, with temperatures reaching lows of around 16 degrees Celsius or 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, we should be seeing partly clouded skies alongside highs of about 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed of the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Sivan Raviv. Be well, be safe, and thank you so much for watching.